Hi, I'm the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Pierre Trudeau developed me on April 17th, 1982. What I do is protect the rights of Canadians and the people in Canada. Unless, of course, you are a criminal. If you're a criminal, the right of mobility in Canada, which I'll talk about later, will be taken away, even though it is a right. Well, okay, let's talk about our rights and freedoms. First, we start off with fundamental freedoms. We have the freedom of expression, freedom of religion, freedom of peaceful assembly, and freedom of association. You can talk to anyone, anytime, anywhere, and say whatever you want, as long as it's your opinion. You also have the freedom of press and media. For example, Stephen Harper just announced that he's sending our military to fight against ISIS and the Taliban. My friend Mitchell agrees with this decision. I also know other people who do not agree with this decision. So they can go anywhere in Canada and peacefully protest against Stephen Harper to voice their opinions. These fundamental freedoms mean that anyone in Canada could be of any religion they want. We can have peaceful assemblies and allowed to be part of any group or association that you want to be part of. Another right we have is the right to a democratic government. Everyone in Canada has the right to vote for a government. Whoever has the most vote of the people wins that position. A democratic government stays in power for 5 years, at which time re-elections occur. However, elected officials can be kicked out of office if the majority of people say so. Let's talk a bit on elections. So in order to vote in Canada, you have to be 18 or older. When you vote, you go to your local community center, and there they will check off your name and give you a voting paper. It's called a voting ballot. You go inside a voting box, and then you write an X beside your vote. Then you fold it 2 to 3 times and put it in the voting box, and that's it. You have to be careful by only using an X on the voting ballot. If there's any other circles colored in or a check mark, it'll be called a spoiled ballot. This means it'll not count in the vote. When voting time closes, they count up the votes, and whoever has the most votes wins that position. Another right we have are mobility rights. This means we can seek a job anywhere in Canada as long as you have the right requirements. An example would be if you lived in Toronto and you want to work in Calgary as a doctor, you could as long as you have the qualifications. Mobility rights are when you freely move around Canada. If you're a criminal, like I said earlier, mobility rights will be taken away from you. My Canadian friend can travel in and out of Canada as they please. They do this because of the right, and they have a Canadian citizenship, a valid passport, and sufficient funds to support them all the way. My friend tells me that their favorite place to travel is Maui, Hawaii, and Rome, Italy. Aloha and arrivederci. Another right we have of the Charter is concerning the legal rights. Persons accused of crime also have rights. The police cannot search your property unless they have a reasonable amount of evidence of a crime. You have the right to life, security, and self-liberty of yourself. If you are charged with arrest, you have the right to a fair trial. You do not have to answer any questions you don't want to. You are assumed innocent of a crime until proven guilty. You will not be harshly punished or unusually punished, so aka no torture. We all have the right to equality. Every individual is equal. Everyone has the right to equal protection and equal benefit of the law. This is without discrimination based on race, nationality, or ethnic origin, color, religion, sex, age, mental or physical disability. An example would be an African American is running for Prime Minister, and someone told him that you cannot run for Prime Minister because you're African American. So, another example was back in the 1940s. If you were Japanese and you came to Canada, you were sent to prison camps just for being Japanese. Also from this, the Aboriginal rights were created. These rights allow the Native Americans, Métis, and all others in Canada to practice their religion and do all festivals and anything they need as long as it does not kill others. In most of the British Columbia, Yukon, Nunavut, as well as parts of Quebec, Newfoundland, and Labrador, did not make treaties with the First Nations or Inuit people that lived there. Treaties were given to the Native people with promises of reserved land, money, fishing, and hunting rights in exchange for land that the government wanted. Further, these people were not treated equally or fairly for a very long time in Canada. Starting in the late 1800s up to the 1990s, there were schools called residential schools. These places took young Native children as young as 5 to educate them in English and convert them to Christianity. There was a lot of abuse. They were given a number instead of a name and punished for speaking the only language that they knew. These operational rights and legal rights will ensure this does not happen again. The last of our Canadian Charter Rights and Freedoms protects our language rights. English and French are the official languages of Canada, and they are equally respected. Even in the House of Commons, when it is in session, they speak both in French and English. That's why they provide translators when speaking. Everyone in Canada has the right to go to school and can be taught in English or French. This guy named Mitchell goes to school at SMS. It is a French/English school. Kids are taught their subjects in French as well as English. Minority rights. They guarantee educational rights to English-speaking communities outside of Quebec and English-speaking minorities in Quebec. Minority rights are their protections for anti-discrimination to protect groups or people based on color, race, mental or physical disability, region, or sexual orientation. An example would be if you wanted to go to a nightclub and they wouldn't let you in just because you were in a wheelchair. I asked you after watching this video, what does it truly mean to be Canadian?